Hello dear students, good evening and welcome back to the science live revision classes. So because of some technical issues yesterday I was able to complete only 2 chapters. Today and tomorrow I'll be backing up those 2 chapters. Today I'll be doing 5 chapters in total. Do try to attend the complete live classes. What are the points I tell? Try to make a note, try to read textbook to score good marks in science. Especially you need to read textbook. So after these 2 days of today and tomorrow the science revision classes, I'll be doing one class for maths, because many of the students they have sent emails, messages in Telegram and Instagram. I'll be doing one live revision classes for maths. So do try to attend that also. In case if you have not joined the Telegram group, do join the Telegram group. Important notes will be sent there. Already I have sent. And also do subscribe the channel. Now we'll start the classes. Unit magnetic effects of electric current. Very important chapter from the examination point of view. In the first page, there is a relationship between the current and the magnetic field. Whenever you place a compass in a current carrying conductor or the circuit, it shows deflection. That means it shows the presence of magnetic field. In the same way, if you change the magnetic field, if the magnitude of the magnetic field is changed, then a current will be induced in the circuit. That's how we can say that electricity and magnetism are linked to each other. Next, the next page we have important concept, magnetic field and field lines. If you place a compass needle near a bar magnet, what happens? It deflects, right? That means it shows the presence of magnetic field. The end point towards the north is called as north pole. The other end point towards the south, it is called as south pole. A bar magnet will have north pole and south pole. Then the properties of magnetic field line is an important 2-mark question. List down all the properties of magnetic field lines. Magnetic field lines, what? In a bar magnet, it starts from north pole to south pole outside the magnet. Outside the bar magnet, the direction of the magnetic field line, it is north to south. Whereas inside the magnet, it is south to north. The direction of the magnetic field lines in a bar magnet is north to south outside the magnet and south to north inside the bar magnet. So magnetic field is a quantity that has both magnitude and direction. If it has both magnitude and direction, it is called as vector quantity. So the direction of field lines, it's from south to north pole, that is inside the magnet. Outside the magnet, north to south. So the field line is stronger, that is near the magnet, as the strength decreases as it moves away from the magnet. No field lines will cross each other. That means no two magnetic field lines will intersect each other. What is the reason? If they do, it would mean that at the point of intersection, the compass needles would point towards two directions, which is not possible. A compass needle at a time can show only one direction. At a time, it cannot show two directions. If they intersect each other, that means it shows the two direction, which is not at all possible. So these are the important questions based on magnetic field lines. What are the properties of magnetic field lines? The properties of the direction of magnetic field lines inside and outside the bar magnet, and also why do two magnetic field lines will not intersect. Now we'll see magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor. In first, if the direction of the electric current is towards what? If the direction of the electric current is towards the south, that means the compass shows the deflection towards the east. In case if it is in the opposite direction, the direction of the magnetic field, that is the compass shows the deflection towards the west. So the magnetic field due to a straight conductor, the magnetic field due to a current through a straight conductor. So if the magnetic field around a straight current carrying conductor, you can see that magnetic field produced in the form of concentric circles. This is what you should understand. A pattern of concentric circles indicating the field lines of a magnetic field around a conducting wire. The magnetic field due to a current to a straight conductor is produced around the straight conductor in the form of concentric circles. So the direction of the magnetic field lines and the current is given by right hand thumb rule. It says that imagine that you are holding a current carrying straight conductor in your right hand. Imagine that you are carrying what? Current carrying straight conductor in your right hand, such that the thumb points towards the direction of the current. The thumb points what? Direction of current. Then the fingers will wrap around the conductor, indicates the direction of field lines of the magnetic field. This is called as right hand thumb rule. You can hold a pen in your hand and you can imagine the what? The right hand thumb rule. Then it will be very easy to remember. The direction of the current and the magnetic field is given by what? Right hand thumb rule. The thumb indicates the direction of the current. The fingers will wrap around the conductor, gives the direction of the field lines. Now the magnetic field due to a current through a circular loop. Suppose the straight wire is bent in the form of circular loop and current is passed through it. What happens? The magnetic field produced at every point of a current circular loop, the concentric circles. It is in the form of what? The concentric circles representing the magnetic field around it. It will become larger and larger as we move away from the wire. By the time we reach the center of this circular loop, what happens? The magnetic field produced appear as what? Straight lines. So the direction of the magnetic field lines and the current can be found out by using what? Right hand rule. So the magnetic field produced by the current carrying wire at a given point depends directly on the current passing through it. The strength of the magnetic field depends on the factor that the first factor on what it depends on the magnitude of the current passed through it, and also it depends on the number of turns of the circular coil. If the number of turns of the circular coil is more, that means the magnetic field produced will be more. That means the magnitude will be high. The factors on which the magnetic field, the strength of the magnetic field depends on what? The current pass, the magnitude of the current pass, and also it depends on the number of turns of the circular coil. So the next, the magnetic field due to a current in a solenoid. Very important and definite concept for your exam. Based on the solenoid, definitely you can expect a question in the examination. What is a solenoid? A coil of many circular turns of insulated copper wire in the form of a what? Cylinder is called as what? Solenoid. What is solenoid? A coil of many circular turns of insulated copper wire wrapped close in the form of is called solenoid. So the pattern of magnetic field around a current carrying solenoid is similar to the what? The bar magnet, the magnetic field lines. The magnetic field lines inside the solenoid are in the form of parallel straight line that indicates that the magnetic field inside the solenoid is same at all the points, or you can say that the magnetic field is uniform inside the solenoid. Inside the solenoid, the magnetic field is uniform. Magnetic field is uniform. So the solenoid exactly will behave as a bar magnet. The direction of the magnetic field lines, it will be north to south outside the magnet and south to north inside the magnet. And also the magnetic field is uniform inside the solenoid. So the solenoid will behave as a bar magnet when the current is passed through it. And also a strong magnetic field produced inside the solenoid can be used to magnetize a piece of magnetic material like soft iron. So the magnet formed is called as what? Electromagnet. See definition of solenoid, the properties of solenoid, and also with figure, very important question. And also in case if in MCQ if the question is asked, the magnetic field produced inside the solenoid is uniform at all the points. Next, the force on a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field. A very important question. This question has been asked in the preparatory for 3 marks from the physics section. From the physics section part A, definitely you can expect 1 3-mark experiment, or it can be asked for 4 marks also. If you place a current carrying conductor in a strong magnetic field, what? If you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Here in this experiment, a straight current carrying conductor AB is placed in a magnetic field. What happens? It will get displaced, right? It will get displaced. That means it experiences a force. This is what the main theme of this experiment. So with figure, list down all the points and you can score 3 out of 3 marks easily. So the direction of the magnetic field lines and the direction of the current and the force is given by what? The Fleming's left hand rule. The Fleming's left hand rule, according to this rule, stretch the thumb, forefinger and the middle finger of your left hand such that they are mutually perpendicular to each other. The first finger, that is forefinger, indicates the direction of the magnetic field. The second finger, that is the middle finger, indicates the direction of the current, and the thumb will point towards the direction of motion of the conductor or the force acting on the conductor. The thumb indicates the direction of the force. The middle finger indicates the direction of the current, and the forefinger indicates the direction of the magnetic field. Okay, the next very important concept is electric motor. An electric motor is a rotating device that converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. 1 mark definition, and also examples for electric motor and working and construction and working of this electric motor is very important. And also the definition, the diagram of electric motor is very important for 2 marks. And also the difference between the commercial motors and the simple motor difference. An electromagnet in place of a permanent magnet, large number of turns of the conducting wire in the current carrying coil, a soft iron core on which the coil is wound, the soft iron core on which the coil is wound plus the coils, it's called an what? Armature. The soft iron core on which the coil is wound is called as what? Armature. Definition of armature is also very important. Larger the number of turns of the coil, the magnetic field produced will be more. This is how you construct a what? The commercial motor. You use a what? An electromagnet in place of permanent magnet, and also a large number of turns of conducting wire will be used, and also a soft iron core on which the coil is wound. These are the three important factors on which you can convert a simple motor into a commercial motor. So working, how the construction and the working of electric motor you should study, and the function of split rings, function of how split ring acts as a commutator. It reverses the direction of current. All these are very important for 1 mark. If it is asked for 3 marks, the give reason or difference between will be asked. Next, the important concept is electromagnetic induction. The current carrying conductor, if it is placed in a magnetic field, what happens? It experiences a force, right? Here you have 3 factors. One is force, current, and what? Force, current, and magnetic field. The current carrying conductor, if it is placed in a what? Magnetic field, experiences a force. What if 2 factors are produced? You can produce the third component, right? If you apply the force in a magnet by changing the magnetic field, you can produce the what? The third component, right? What is that? Current. You can induce the current. That is what the concept of electromagnetic induction. So electromagnetic induction is a phenomenon in which the current is induced in a conductor by changing the magnetic field. This is called as electromagnetic induction. This was done by the scientist Faraday. So based on this, you have a experiment. This is a very important experiment in the from the examination point of view, and also it's there in the 100+ questions. Do go to it. What happens if you change, if the bag magnet is inserted in the inside this coil? If it is changed continuously, what happens? There is a deflection in the galvanometer. That means it indicates the current is induced in the coil. In case the bag magnet is stationary, if it is not changed, what happens? The current will not be induced. That means the galvanometer shows the deflection of 0. Okay, the bag magnet is continuously pushed in and pushed out, right?
Yes, sir.
So that it changes the magnetic field. Thus what happens? The current is induced in the coil. This is the experiment of Faraday. And also you have one more important experiment, that is coil experiment. Whenever there is a change in the magnetic field in the coil 1, what happens? The current is induced in the coil 2. Take 2 coils, coil 1 and coil 2. Coil 1 is connected to a battery and coil 2 is connected to a galvanometer. Because the current we induce the current in the coil 1, there is a magnetic field is produced. Because of the current in coil 1, the magnetic field is induced in the
Coil 2.
So in coil 1, because of the current, the magnetic field is produced in coil 1. Because of the magnetic field is produced in the coil 1, there is a current is induced in the coil 2. This is on the principle of electromagnetic induction. This is again important experiment. Which figure you need to write? So again we have the Fleming's right hand rule. Arrange the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger, which are mutually perpendicular to each other. The thumb points the movement of the conductor. The thumb points the movement of the conductor. The forefinger indicates the direction of the magnetic field. The middle finger indicates the direction of the induced current. See, there is a definition here. The process by which changing the magnetic field in a current induces a current in another conductor. It is called as what? Electromagnetic induction. See here, the coil 1 is called as primary coil, coil 2 is called as secondary coil. Because of the current in the first coil changes, the magnetic field in it also changes. Because of the change in the magnetic field in the coil 1, there's a current is induced in the coil 2. And also Fleming's right hand rule is very important. It is used to find out the direction of induced current. And also we have next important device called as what? Electric generator. So electric generator works on the phenomena of electromagnetic induction. Name the principle on which the electric generator works. It works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So what is electric generator? Electric generator is a device in which the mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. The mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. So the working principle and the construction and working is very important, and the diagram is also very important. The function of slip ring is very important, and also difference between split rings and slip rings is very important. Here you use what? Fleming's right hand rule. Fleming's right hand rule is used here. So here, if you use a slip ring, if you use slip ring, AC current is induced. AC current is induced. In case if you use split ring, DC current will be induced. AC current, slip rings. DC current, split rings. So the difference between AC and DC current is very important, and also the advantages of AC current over DC is it can be transported to a longest distance without much loss of the energy. So definition of frequency. The frequency of AC current in India is around 50 Hertz. Next important concept is domestic electric circuits. The concept of earthing, overloading and short circuiting. Based on these three concepts, definitely you can expect one question. One of the wires with usually with red insulation is called as live wire or positive. The another wire with black insulation is called as neutral wire. The potential difference between two is what? 220 volts. In India, it's usually 220 volts. Again, the function of fuse. Already we have studied in the unit electricity. It is very important. The function of fuse. It's an electrical safety device which has low or high melting point. It has low melting point and high resistivity. Because of this, in case of any unduly current, what happens? The fuse melts and protects the circuit. And also the concept of earthing is very important. So the metallic body is connected to the earth wire, provides a path of low resistance. So because of this, in case of leakage of any current in the metallic body of the appliance, what happens? It goes to the earth. That's why it is called as earthing. The user may not get a severe electric shock because of the earthing. Earthing is very important. Then you have the concept of overloading. So overloading occurs because of the live wire and neutral wire comes in direct contact. So in this situation also, the current in the circuit abruptly increases. This is called as what? Short circuit. How can you prevent short circuit? How can you prevent overloading? These are the questions you can expect in the examination. how to prevent overloading? Overloading can be prevented by connecting too many appliances to a single socket. And also, what kind of circuit is used here? The parallel circuit is used in case of domestic appliances. You can see here, right? The parallel connection is used. It has more advantages than the series connection. Dear students, to try to read the textbook. If you read the textbook, then it will be easy to score good marks in science. Not many, all the questions will be from the textbook. So the unit carbon and its compounds, very important chapter from the examination point of view. Simple questions will be asked and you can score good marks, around 7 marks in this chapter. So carbon and its compounds, the first concept what you learn is the bonding in the carbon. What is the type of bonding in the carbon compounds is? It is covalent bond. See, whereas ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point in the molten or in the solution state, ionic compounds have what? High melting and boiling point, and also they conduct electricity in the molten state. Here, most of the carbon compounds are poor conductors of electricity. Poor conductors of electricity, and these carbon compounds have low melting and boiling point when compared to the ionic compounds. When compared to the ionic compounds, carbon compounds have low melting and boiling point. What they have? Low melting and boiling point. Why? Because the force of attraction between the molecules are not very strong. Because why the carbon compounds have low melting and boiling point? The reason here is force of attraction between the molecules are not very strong. It can be easily broken, right? Next, the atomic number of carbon is 6. That means it has a valency of 4. That means it cannot gain 4 electrons or it cannot lose 4 electrons. Instead of it, what happens? It shares 4 electrons. It shares 4 electrons to form what? Covalent bond. Why it cannot gain 4 electrons? Because it will be very difficult for the nucleus with 6 protons to hold what? 10 electrons. That is 4 extra electrons. That's why it will not gain 4 electrons. Why it will not lose 4 electrons? Because it requires large amount of energy to remove these 4 electrons, right? Hence, it cannot lose or gain 4 electrons. You have understood the concept of why the carbon cannot gain or lose 4 electrons, because to gain 4 electrons it will be very difficult for the nucleus to hold 10 electrons, right? That is 4 extra electrons. It will not lose 4 electrons. Why? Because it will require large amount of energy to remove the 4 electrons. So to overcome this problem, that is gaining or losing 4 electrons, what it does it shares the valence electrons with other atoms of carbon, otherwise with other atoms of elements. The bond found by the sharing of electrons is called as what? Covalent bond. Here there are few examples are there: the formation of hydrogen molecule by sharing of electrons, and the formation of the oxygen molecule by the sharing of electrons. All this you can draw the electron dot structure. And very important is the formation of the methane molecule, that is CH4. The formation of methane molecule CH4. You can expect a question, right? Like, how methane molecule is formed. The carbon has a valency 4 and hydrogen has a what? Valency 1. Therefore, the each electron of hydrogen will be shared with what? The each electron of carbon, forming what? CH4. One carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atom. So the next important concept is the versatile nature of carbon. We can see that with carbon there are many compounds, more than million compounds are formed because of the carbon. Why? Why? What is the reason? Because of the two unique property of carbon. One it is catenation, and another property it is tetravalency, because of the 4 valence electrons, and also the property of catenation. What is catenation? The carbon has a unique ability to form bonds with other atoms of carbon, give us what? Large number of molecules. This is called as what? Catenation. What is catenation? So because of this catenation property, the carbon compounds form long chains of carbon or branched chain of carbon, or even the ring structures will be formed. Long chain, branched chain and ring structure. Carbon compounds having the single bond is called as what? Saturated carbon compounds. What it is called as? Saturated compounds of carbon having double or triple bonds between the carbon atoms is called as what? Unsaturated. You should note that it is between the carbon atoms, not between the carbon atom and the other elements. Only the bonding is related to here. It is what? Between the carbon atoms. Carbon atoms having single bond between them, it is called as what? Saturated carbon compound. Double or triple bond, it is called as unsaturated carbon compounds. So the examples for saturated compounds are alkanes. Alkanes. Example for unsaturated carbon compound, it is alkenes and alkynes. When compared to saturated and unsaturated carbon compound, saturated carbon compounds are not much reactive. They are not reactive. Unsaturated carbon compounds are reactive. So the carbon compounds forms a large number of molecules because of two unique property. One is catenation, tetravalency. So carbon has a valency of 4. It is capable of bonding with 4 other atoms of carbon or other atoms of monovalent element, right? So carbon compounds of carbon are formed with oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, chlorine and many other elements give us what? Many other compounds which have specific properties. So because of this unique property, we can call carbon is a versatile element. Carbon is a versatile element. The difference between saturated and unsaturated is also a very important question. So you can see the formation of ethane molecule by electron dot structure. So you can see here the single bond between the carbon atoms and double bond. Single bond it is alkane, double bond it is alkene, triple bond it is alkyne. Alkyne. So you should know the molecular formula structure of methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane and hexane. In the same way, alkene series and alkyne series. So alkane has the general formula CnH2n plus 2. Alkene CnH2n, that's it. Alkyne CnH2n minus 2. that is alkane CnH2n plus 2, that is single bond between the carbon atom. Alkene, it is a double bond between the carbon atom. Alkane, it is a triple bond between the carbon atom. Alkane is also called as saturated carbon compound. Alkene and alkane together, it is called as unsaturated carbon compound. And also you should remember, meth means it is single carbon atom. Eth, it is two carbon atom. Prop, it is 3 carbon atom. But, 4 carbon atom. Pent,
5 carbon atoms.
hex,
6 carbon atoms.
hex, it is 6 carbon atom. So these are the points you should remember. The carbon compounds having same molecular formula but different structures are called as structural isomers. This phenomenon is called as isomerism. The carbon compounds with similar molecular formula but different structures is called as what? Structural isomers. The isomers of butane, pentane, hexane you should know. So they can ask you to write down the structure of that is the isomers of butane, pentane and hexane. Next we have what? The cyclic structure carbon compounds, that is in the form of a ring. Here example they have given is cyclohexane. Yeah, na. So homologous series, will they have same chemical and physical? So homologous series will have same chemical properties but their physical properties will be different. So next, the nomenclature of carbon compounds. You should identify the number of carbon atoms in the compound, then the functional group present, whether it is double bond or triple bond. Based on this, you will name the carbon compound. So you have a functional group here OH, and how many carbon atoms are here? 3, right? 3 means propanol. For alcohol, the suffix is OL. Aldehyde, it is AL. Ketone, it is ONE. Suffix is ONE. Carboxylic acid, the suffix is oic acid. Alkenes, it is ene. Alkyne, it is ine. You should count the number of carbon compounds without the functional group. You should not include the carbon in the functional group. So you should include the carbon in the functional group. Whether it is in the functional group or not, you should count the number of carbon atoms. See, the number of carbon compounds here is 3, that is prop. What is the functional group? Here it is ketone, that means propanone. The suffix is -one. How many carbon atoms are here? 3 carbon atoms. And what is the functional group here? Carboxylic acid, that means oic acid. Now you should know the chemical properties of carbon compounds. So the first important chemical property of carbon is its combustibility property. So carbon in all its allotropic forms burn in oxygen to give carbon dioxide along with the release of heat and light. That is C plus O to give CO2, release of CO2 gas and heat and light. Methane on burning gives carbon dioxide, water and heat and light. And ethanol on burning gives carbon dioxide, water and heat and light. Carbon in all its allotropic form burns in oxygen to give what? Carbon dioxide gas along with the release of heat and light. So saturated hydrocarbons generally gives a what? Clean flame, while unsaturated carbon compounds gives a yellow flame. The burning of saturated hydrocarbon is an example for complete combustion, whereas the burning of unsaturated carbon compounds, which gives a yellow flame, is called as what? Incomplete combustion. Why the incomplete combustion? Because of limited supply of air. If you supply the air properly, what happens? It burns with blue flame. So you can observe that the bottoms of the cooking vessels get blackened. It means that air holes are blocked, the fuel is getting wasted. That means it is an example for incomplete combustion. So very important concept. Burning of coal and petroleum results in what? Formation of oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, which is a major pollutants, major air pollutants in the environment, because the coal and petroleum have what? Nitrogen and sulfur in them. Coal and petroleum has what? Nitrogen and sulfur in them. On combustion, what happens? It forms the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, which are major air pollutant, which can result in the acid rain. Next, the very important chemical property is oxidation of carbon compounds. That is, you can convert alcohols into acid, carboxylic acid, by using what? Strong oxidizing agents such as alkaline potassium permanganate or acidified potassium dichromate. So you can convert alcohol into carboxylic acid by using a strong oxidizing agent. Example, alkaline potassium permanganate or potassium dichromate. This question, it has been asked in the preparatory exam. How can you convert an alcohol to what? Respective carboxylic acid by using what? Strong oxidizing agent such as alkaline potassium permanganate or acidified. Now the next important reaction is addition reaction. Unsaturated carbon compounds are converted into saturated carbon compounds in the presence of catalysts such as palladium or nickel. You can convert the unsaturated hydrocarbons to saturated hydrocarbons in the presence of catalysts such as nickel or palladium. So this reaction is commonly used in the hydrogenation of vegetable oils using nickel as a catalyst. So vegetables oils are generally long unsaturated carbon chains, while as the animal fats are saturated carbon chains. So you can convert the unsaturated carbon compounds to what? Saturated hydrocarbons or carbon compounds in the presence of palladium or nickel as a catalyst. This addition reaction has an industrial application, that is, it is used in the hydrogenation of vegetable oil. This reaction has an industrial application which is used in the industries, right? Conversion of the vegetable oil into what? See, sometimes the doctor advises to use unsaturated oil because it is good for health when compared to the saturated oils. Why? Because the saturated oils are not much reactive. It will be very difficult for digestion. Next, what we have is substitution reaction. Methane in the presence of sunlight undergoes the substitution reaction where each and every hydrogen atom is replaced by chlorine atom. Then what the product we get is carbon tetrachloride. CH4 will be converted into CCl4 in the presence of sunlight. And this is called as what? Substitution reaction. This is called as substitution reaction. Next very important compound C is ethanol and ethanoic acid. The properties of ethanol and the properties of ethanoic acid is very important. And what happens when the ethanol reacts with the sodium? What is the product form? The product formed is sodium ethoxide What it is? Sodium methoxide. The reaction of the ethanol in the presence of concentrated sulfuric acids results in the formation of respective unsaturated compound. Here the ethanol is converted into ethane. Very important reaction. Ethanol is converted into ethane in the presence of concentrated sulfuric acid, and also it should be heated. On heating ethanol in the presence of concentrated sulfuric acid results in the formation of ethane. Here the concentrated sulfuric acid acts as what? Dehydrating agent. That means it removes the hydrogen. So it removes the water molecule, right? Name the material which is used as a dehydrating agent when ethanol is converted into ethane. What is the answer? Sulfuric acid. What is dehydrating agent? It removes the water molecule. It removes the and the important properties of ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid is commonly called as what? Acetic acid, and they belong to what? Group of acids called as carboxylic acid. 5 to 8% of solution of acetic acid in water is called as vinegar, which is used as a preservative. The melting point of pure ethanoic acid is 290 Kelvin. That means it freezes during the winter in cold climates. Carboxylic acids are weak acid. Why? You can get a question, but carboxylic acids are weak acid because the H plus ion concentration will be less. The properties of ethanoic acid, that is one important reaction is esterification reaction, and one more is saponification reaction. Both these reactions are very important from the examination point of view. What is esterification reaction? Esters are most commonly found by the reaction of acid and alcohol. Ethanoic acid reacts with absolute ethanol. Ethanoic acid reacts with ethanol to give a sweet smelling substance called as what? Ester. Esters are sweet smelling substance. They are used in what? Making perfumes as a flavoring agent. On treating this ester with sodium hydroxide, which is alkali, ester is converted back to what? Alcohol and sodium salt of carboxylic acid. This reaction is called as what? Saponification reaction, which is used in the preparation of soap. What are soaps? Soaps are sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acid. You can see the reaction here. Then the reaction of this ethanoic acid with the base results in what? Formation of ethanoic acid is a what? It is acid. Sodium hydroxide is a base. The reaction of salt and what? Sorry, the reaction of acid and base results in what? Results in the formation of what is a salt here? Sodium ethanoate or sodium acetate. How sodium acetate is formed? Sodium acetate is formed by the reaction of the carboxylic acid, that is ethanoic acid with what? Sodium hydroxide. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
The reaction of this ethanoic acid with sodium carbonate or sodium hydrogen carbonate results in the formation of sodium ethanoate and with release of carbon dioxide gas. These reactions are very important. I have seen this reaction. Please check it. Next very important concept is soaps and detergents. The action of the soaps. How the soap helps in what? The removing dirt or cleansing action of soap is a very important question, and also difference between soaps and detergents. How soaps are effective, not effective in hard water. How detergents are effective in hard water. Which is more preferable, whether it is soap or detergent, between soap and detergent, which is environmental friendly? It is detergent, right? Because soaps are biodegradable, detergents are non-biodegradable. Now we'll see the action of the formation of micelle. Most dirt is oily in nature. Oil does not dissolve in water. The molecules of soaps are sodium and potassium salts of what? Long chain carboxylic acid. The ionic ends of the soap interacts with the water, whereas the carbon chain interacts with the oil. Thus, it forms a structure called as what? Micelle. One is hydrophilic end, the other will be hydrophobic end. Hydrophilic and hydrophobic. Thus, it forms a what? A structure called as what? Micelle. This micelle helps in what? Removing the dirt out of the cloth. This is how the soap helps in what? Removing dirt. Difference between soaps and detergents are very important. So when soap is used in hard water, what happens? It forms salts of magnesium and calcium, right? So to avoid the formation of these insoluble substances, another class of carbon compounds is used. It is called as detergents. Detergents are generally sodium salts of sulfonic acids or ammonium salts of chlorides or bromide ions. These are very much effective in the hard water. The soaps forms insoluble substance, that is the salts of magnesium and calcium, whereas the detergent does not form the calcium and magnesium salts. Okay, that's why the detergents are very much effective in the hard water. Detergents are very much effective in hard water because it does not form insoluble scum. Okay, which is more preferred for washing? Detergents will be preferred in case of hard water, but in case of environmental friendly, which is more preferred? Soaps. Why? Because they are biodegradable. So can you check the hardness of water by using detergents? Can you check the hardness of water by using detergents? No, you cannot check the hardness of water by using detergents because it does not form insoluble scum. So these are the important questions. You should go through chapter wise. You have to read textbook for science to score good marks in science. I am repeatedly telling this sentence. Classification of elements. Here the first important question will be state Daubergne's law of triads, and also its limitations are very important. The Daubergner arranged the group of three elements in the increasing order of their atomic mass, such that the atomic mass of middle element was roughly equal to what? The average of atomic masses of other two elements. This was the Daubergner's law of triad. The examples for Daubergner's law of triad was lithium, sodium and potassium. State Daubergner's law of triads. Daubergner's law of triads states that he took a group of three elements called as triads, which he arranged in the increasing order of the atomic mass. The atomic mass of middle element was roughly equal to the average of the first and last element. This was the Daubergner's law of triads. Now, what were the limitations of Daubergner's law of triads? The main limitations of Daubergner's law of triad was he could able to identify only three triads from the elements known at the time. Hence, his system of classification into triads was not found to be useful. This is the limitations of Daubergner's law of triads. This can be asked in 1 mark also. Next, Newland's law of octaves. Newland's law of octaves states that he found that every 8th element had similar property to that of first element. He arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic mass. See, in Dobrogniev's law, Newland's law and Mendeleev's law, all the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic mass. So in Newland's law of octaves, he found that he arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic mass. He found that every 8th element had the properties similar to that of the first. This was the Newland's law of octaves, otherwise you can simply call that as law of octaves. What were the disadvantages of Newland's law of octaves? Important 3-mark question. Newland's law of octaves was applicable up to calcium, only up to calcium. After calcium, every 8th element did not possess properties similar to that of the first. Next, and also Newland assumed that only 56 elements existed in nature and no more elements would be discovered in the future. So in order to fit the third limitation of Newland's periodic table was that Newland adjusted 2 elements in the same slot, which was not useful. Example was cobalt and nickel was in the same slot. Understood? Newland's law of octave states that the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic mass. 8th element has the property similar that of the first, and the limitations were this law was applicable only up to the calcium, and only 56. He assumed that only 56 elements existed in nature, and also he adjusted 2 elements in the same slot. These are the limitations of Newland's law of octave. In the same way, after Newland's classification, the main credit for classifying elements goes to what? Dmitry Mendeleev. He was an Russian chemist. So he found that the physical and chemical properties of the element are related to its what? Atomic mass. So his law states that the properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic mass. State Mendeleev's periodic law. It states that the properties of elements are the periodic functions of their atomic mass. To understand the reactivity, the chemical properties of different elements, he selected hydrogen and oxygen as the elements to react with what? To know the reactivity of the other elements. Why he has chosen only hydrogen and oxygen means it were able to react with most of the elements to form the compounds. So Mendeleev's periodic table contains vertical columns such as groups, and the horizontal rows are called as what? Periods. See, what you can check how many periods are there?
6 periods.
6 periods are. How many groups are there? 8 groups. You can have a question like in Mendeleev's periodic table, how many groups? 8. How many periods?
6.
See, the important next question is you should know the achievements of Mendeleev's periodic table. So Mendeleev left some gaps in the periodic table. Instead of looking upon these gaps as defect, he predicted some of the elements which were not discovered yet. For example, scandium, gallium and germanium, which were discovered later, he has predicted it before itself. This is the first advantage of the achievement of Mendeleev's periodic table. So he gave the concept of noble gases like helium, neon and argon, which were discovered later, which he could place in his periodic table without disturbing the existing order of his periodic table. These are the achievements of Mendeleev's periodic table. Now we'll see the limitations of Mendeleev's classification. The first limitations of Mendeleev's classification was there was no fixed position given to the hydrogen in the periodic table. This was the first limitations of the Mendeleev's periodic table. And isotopes which were discovered long after the Mendeleev had proposed his periodic classification of elements, which could not have proper position in his periodic table. So another limitations of Mendeleev's classification was that atomic mass do not increase in a regular manner in going from one element to another element. These are the three limitations of Mendeleev's classification of elements. To overcome all this, Henry Moseley constructed a periodic table called as what? Modern periodic table. His law states that the modern periodic law, Moseley's periodic law states that the properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic mass, atomic number. The properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic number. So the modern periodic table, how many periods were there?
6 periods.
There are 7 periods and 18 groups. So the 8 vertical columns are called as groups. The 7 horizontal rows are known as periods. In modern periodic table, what is the number of groups?
18 groups.
How many periods?
7 periods.
7 periods and 18 groups. The important point you should remember is that the elements present in any one group have same number of valence electrons. And also you should know that the number of shell increases as we go down the group. As we go down the group, the number of shell increases and also the valency remains same. The important point you should remember is as you go along the group, you will have same number of shells, but the valence electrons will not be same. As we move down the group, valency will be same. Shells increases. As you move along the period, what happens? You will have same number of shells, but will have difference in the valence electrons. In a period, valency will not be same, shells will be same. In case of groups, valency will be same, shells will be increased. As we move down the group, shell increases. The atoms with same number of shells are placed in the same period. Same valency placed in the same group. See how many elements are there in first, second, third and fourth period. It depends on 2n square rule. First 2, next 8, next 18, 18, 32 and 32 elements respectively. The reason for this placement you can study in further higher classes. But in the period, the elements are placed based on what? 2n square rule. Number of elements in each period depends on 2n square rule. Placing of the element in the period depends on its valency and the shell. If it has same shell, it is in the same period, but valency will be different. Now you should know the periodic trends in the modern periodic table. Based on this only you can expect application based question. They'll give the table with different elements with atomic number. You should be able to find the atomic size and also valency with metallic and non-metallic properties. So valency of an element is determined by the number of valence electrons present in the outermost shell, and also atomic size. It defined as what? The radius of an atom. It is a distance between the center of the nucleus and the outermost shell of an isolated atom. See, atomic size or radius decreases in moving from left to right in the periodic table. Atomic size decreases as you move along the period. Why? Because of the increase in the effective nuclear charge, it tends to pull the electrons closer to the nucleus, reduces the size of an atom. Whereas the atomic size increases down the group because the new shells have been added as we move down the group. Because of this, what happens? The atomic size increases. Atomic size decreases along the period and increases down the group. You should know the reasons. Metallic and non-metallic. Metallic nature increases along the period and decreases down the group. Right? There are few elements which exhibit both the properties of metals and non-metals. Those are called as metalloids. Those are called as metalloid. The elements which possesses the properties of both metals and non-metals are called as what? Metalloids. Example, silicon. The metals which tends to lose electron while forming bond, they are electropositive in nature. The metals which lose electrons, they are called as what? Electropositive. What they are called as what? Electropositive. As we move along the period, the electropositivity will decrease. As we move down the group, what happens? Increases. So metallic character decreases across the period and increases down the group. What is electronegative? They tend to gain electrons. Electronegative gaining electrons, electropositive losing electrons. So these are the important concepts you should know from this chapter, limitations of each and every law, and also the periodic trends, especially the atomic size, metallic and non-metallic nature, how it varies down the group and along the period is very important from the examination point of view. In the examination, they will give a table containing the elements with atomic numbers. You should be able to predict the atomic size, which element has most bigger atomic size, which has most metallic nature, non-metallic nature, and also with electropositivity and electronegativity. So the unit, our environment, very simple chapter to score 3 to 4 marks. So directly the question will be asked. So what is an ecosystem? Ecosystem consists of biotic components comprising what? Living organism, and abiotic components comprising what? Physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil, minerals, etc. Definition of ecosystem. Examples for natural ecosystem and human-made artificial ecosystem. You should know. Definition of and definition of producers. All green plants and certain bacteria which produce food by process of photosynthesis are called what? Producers. Then the definition of consumers. Organisms which consume the food produced either directly from the producers or indirectly by feeding on other consumers are called as what? Consumers. So definition of producers and consumers. Next important and very important question, the role of decomposers. The decomposers are the microorganisms. What they do? They break down the dead remains, waste products of organisms. This decomposers break down the complex organic substance into simple inorganic substances. Breakdown of complex organic substance into simple inorganic substance that go into the soil and that are used up once more by the plants. This is the role of decomposers. What happens if there are no decomposers, right? That's a very important question. What happens when the decomposers are not there? The complex organic substance will not be broken down into what? Simpler inorganic substance, and the recycling of these substances will not take place. Next, very important concept, food chains and food webs. Series or organism taking part at various biotic levels form what? Food chains. You can see a food chain here, right? There are many examples are there. In the examination, they can ask you to form a food chain having 3 trophic level or 4 trophic levels. You can give an example. The level of the food chain forms a what? Trophic level. Trophic level. The each level of the food chain is called as what? Trophic level. The autotrophs or the producers are always at the first trophic level. The autotrophs or the producers, the green plants and the bacteria, certain bacteria are always at the first trophic levels. They use the solar energy, and by the process of photosynthesis they prepare the food. Herbivores or the primary consumers come at the second. Small carnivores come at the secondary at the third. Secondary consumers are the third. The larger carnivores or the tertiary consumers form the what? Fourth trophic level. And very important concept, you should know that the energy level increases. The energy level decreases from one trophic level to another trophic level. The green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem capture 1% of the energy of the sunlight. What is the percentage of energy of sunlight captured by the producers? How much it is? 1%. Whereas next 1% of energy captured by the first level of the producers, to the next level 10% is transferred. That is 10% of 1% is transferred to the next level, next trophic level. Next again to the next level, only the 10% of the available energy is transferred. Only the 10% of the energy is transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level, whereas only 1% of the energy of the sunlight is captured by the producers. So you can expect one MCQ based on 10% law. So the food, instead of straight line food chain, you can see here, instead of straight line food chain, the relationship can be shown as a series of branching lines. That is called as food web. That is called as what? Food web. You can see the food web here. And also you should know that the flow of energy in the trophic level is unidirectional. The flow of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level is what? It is directional. That means the energy that is captured by the autotrophs does not revert back to the solar input, right? The same way, what are the energy input which is taken by the herbivores from the plants cannot be given back to the autotrophs. The energy level from one trophic level to another trophic level decreases. What is the percentage of energy transfer happens? Only the 10% of the energy available. So you should also know that sometimes the harmful chemicals enter our bodies through the food chain, but the harmful chemical level increases from one trophic level to another trophic level. This process or this phenomenon is called as what? Biomagnification. It is called as biomagnification. The energy level from one tropic level to another tropic level decreases, whereas the harmful chemical from one tropic level to another tropic level increases. This is called as what? Biological magnification. So use of pesticides and other chemicals to protect our crops from diseases and pests, these chemicals are either washed down to the soil or into the water bodies from this tropic level. Again, what happens? It is absorbed by the plants and it is transferred to the next tropic level. So as the humans occupy the top level in any food chain, the maximum concentration of these chemicals are accumulated in our body. This phenomenon is called as what? Biological magnification. The next important is ozone layer. How the ozone layer is getting depleted. Ozone is a molecule formed by the 3 atoms of oxygen. Right? What is ozone? It is a molecule formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. Ozone is a deadly poison. However, at the higher levels of the atmosphere, ozone performs an essential function. It shields the surface of the earth from the harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. It acts as a barrier between the sun and the earth. It protects us from the what? Harmful ultraviolet radiation. The UV radiation is highly damaging to organism. For example, it can cause skin cancer in human beings. How ozone is produced? Ozone at the higher levels of the atmosphere is nothing but is a product of UV radiation acting on oxygen molecule, right? Yes or no? Yes, oxygen molecule splits into O plus O. Again, it reacts with the oxygen molecule to form O3, right? Important question, how ozone is formed? Ozone is formed by the action of UV radiation on the oxygen molecule with chemical reaction, you should write. So there is a depletion of ozone layer because of the use of synthetic chemicals like CFCs, which are in what? Refrigerants and also in the fire extinguishers. Nowadays, it is mandatory that CFC free refrigerators should be manufactured. Why? Because CFCs are the reasons for ozone depletion, hence it should be banned. Okay. So managing the garbage waste we produce, this is you can expect a value based question based on this concept, and also the difference between biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Based on this difference between 2-mark question or definitely 1-mark question on biodegradable and non-biodegradable. The substances which can be broken down into the simpler molecules is called as biodegradable. Non-biodegradable are the substances which cannot be broken down into the simpler substances are called as non-biodegradable. Example for biodegradable is what? The vegetable waste, the waste of animals, etc. Whereas non-biodegradable, it is plastics, PVC pipes. So these are the important concepts from this unit, our environment. Definitely you should study this chapter. Easily you can score 3 to 4 marks. So the next unit, the sources of energy. So from this chapter you can expect around 4 to 5 marks or minimum 3 marks. So you should know what is a good source of energy, characteristics of good source of energy. The characteristics of good sources of energy are it should release more amount of heat on burning, it should produce less smoke, and it should be easily available. That is, it should give large amount of work per unit volume or mass. It should be easily accessible. It should be easy to store and transport. Perhaps importantly, It should be economical. What are the characteristics of good source of energy is? It should give large amount of work per unit volume or mass. It should be easily accessible. It should be easy to store and transport. Perhaps it should be more importantly, it should be economical. See, we have conventional sources of energy. The conventional sources of energy are those which we are using from a long time, which are in the verge of becoming extinct. See, these conventional sources of energy are non-renewable. It will take huge. The fossil fuels are non-renewable source of energy. We need to conserve them. So if we were continue consuming these conventional sources of energy at alarming rates, we would soon run out of the energy, these fossil fuels, right? In order to avoid this, we need to look for some alternate sources of energy. Those energy sources are called as what? Non-conventional sources of energy. What are the non-conventional sources of energy? The renewable resources of energy are called as what? Non-conventional sources of energy. So you can have a question. List the reasons for looking out for alternate source of energy. What are the energy sources we are using? Those energy resources are dipping at the faster rate, and they are not renewable resources of energy, right? What in case if we run out of energy? Because of all these reasons, it is very important to look for alternate source of energy. Very important question. The disadvantages of using fossil fuels, because air pollution is caused by burning coal and petroleum products. The oxides of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur that are released of burning fossil fuels forms acidic oxides, leads to what? Acid rains, which will affect our water and soil resources. Name the greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gas is carbon dioxide. Name the greenhouse gas. It is carbon dioxide. Name the air pollutants. What are the air pollutants? Oxides of carbon, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur are the major air pollutants. The pollution caused by burning of fossil fuels can be decreased by increasing the efficiency of combustion process. That is complete combustion, right? You have a model to demonstrate the production of electricity here. That is, the pressure released from the pressure cooker is able to run the turbine, and which is connected to dynamo. Dynamo generates the electricity, right? See, the work of dynamo here is to convert the mechanical energy into electrical energy. This is a simple model of production of electricity. In the same way, we have thermal power plant, where the large amount of fossil fuels are burnt, and which produces the steam, which converts the water to steam, which further runs the turbine to generate the electricity, right? Now we should know the whether the thermal power plant is environmental friendly or not. Definitely it is not environmental friendly, because the burning of fossil fuel results in the formation of air pollutants, right? The term thermal power plant is used since fuel is burned to produce the heat energy, which is converted into electrical energy. Next, hydro power plant. The hydro power plants convert the potential energy of falling water into electricity. When the water moves from higher level to lower level, it is used to run the turbine, right? Because of this, when the turbine runs, the mechanical energy will be converted into electrical energy. So it is very important to know that a quarter of our energy requirement in India is met by hydro power plants. So the hydro power plants are associated with the dams. So in order to produce hydel electricity, high-rise dams are constructed on the river to obstruct the flow of water, then by to collect the water in large reservoirs. When the water flows from higher energy, higher potential to the lower potential, it is used to to run the turbine. So hydropower is a renewable source of energy. Give reason. So by construction of high rise dams, you can generate hydro electricity, right? And also you should know the by construction of dams, there are few problems associated with it. What is that? Large areas of agricultural land, human habitation has to be sacrificed, or as they get submerged. Large ecosystems are disturbed when submerged under the water in the dams. And also the vegetation which is submerged rots in the anaerobic condition give rise to large amounts of methane gases, right? These are the disadvantages of construction of dams. Next very important concept is biomass. What is biomass? So the vegetable waste, the residue after the crop harvesting sewage are called biomass. When it is decomposed in the absence of oxygen, it gives a gas called as what? Biogas, or you can call it as gobar gas. See, the important 3 marks diagram you can expect is the diagram of gobar gas plant. How gobar gas is produced? It is produced by the anaerobic respiration of the biomass, which is done by the microorganism, right? Which break down the complex compound of the cow dung slurry, right? Now, the decomposition of biomass results in the gases like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen gas, and hydrogen sulfide. The main component of the biogas is what? Methane. What is the main component of the biogas? It is methane. You should know the steps to generate biogas. Biogas is an excellent fuel as it contains 75% methane. The two without smoke, leaves no residue like ash in the wood, charcoal or coal burning. Its heating capacity is also high. So what are the slurry left behind, which is removed periodically, used as a manure which is rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. So biogas plant is a very important component in our environment. We should encourage the manufacture of those biogas. Next important energy is wind energy, which is a renewable source of energy, which is also a non-conventional source of energy. So because of unequal heating of the land mass and water bodies by the solar radiation, it generates air movement and causes what? Wind energy. This wind energy is harnessed by the windmills to produce what? Electricity. The rotation of the windmills, the rotatory motion is converted into what? The mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy. A windmill so the a number of windmills are erected over a large area known as what? Wind energy farm. See, what are the disadvantages of using wind energy? You should the disadvantages of wind energy also you should know. So the limitations of harnessing wind energy is that wind energy farms can be established only at those places where wind blows at a greater part of the year. The minimum speed to obtain the wind energy should be 15 kilometers per hour. So there should be some backup facilities like storage cells to store the energy needs during a period when there is no wind. So establishment of wind energy requires large area of land, right? These are the limitations of harnessing wind energy. The first limitations is that wind energy cannot be established at all places, only at the particular places where the wind blows with a speed of 15 kilometers per hour. There should be some backup facilities like storage should be there when there is no wind, and also establishment of wind energy farms requires large area of land, and also they need high level of maintenance. Maintenance is also very high. See, we have alternate or non-conventional sources of energy. Because of the rise in the energy demand day by day, there is an increased demand for the energy, right? Because of that, we need to look for alternate source of energy. We have solar energy, right? The sun has been radiating an enormous amount of energy at the present rate for nearly 5 billions of years, and will continue radiating at that rate for still 5 more billion years. A black surface absorbs more heat as compared to the white or reflecting surface. Because of that, solar cookers are usually painted in black color. Inside it is painted with black color. So solar cookers are covered with a glass plate because it should reflect most of the sun rays which hits on those plane mirror. So the limitations of using solar energy is nothing but the sun radiates sunlight only during the daytime, right? It is very difficult to harness the solar energy during night. So to overcome this problem, what we use is solar cells that convert solar energy into electrical energy. A large number of solar cells are combined in an arrangement called as solar panel. You should know the principle of solar panel. The advantages of solar cells are they have no moving parts, require little maintenance, and work quite satisfactorily without the use of any focusing device. Another advantage is that they can be set up in remote and inaccessible hamlets or very sparsely inhabited areas. These are the advantages of solar cells. Now we'll see the disadvantages of solar cells. Silicon, which is used for making solar cell, is abundant in nature, but availability of special grade silicon for making solar cell is limited. It is one of the limitations of solar cell. Availability of special grade silicon for making solar cells is limited. The entire process of manufacture is still expensive. Silver, which is used for interconnection of the cell in the panel, further adds to the cost. So in spite of all this high cost and low efficiency, the solar cells are used in artificial satellites and space probes like Mars orbiters, etc. And also you have many advantages like they are used in TV relay stations, traffic signals, calculator, many toys, etc. Next, tidal energy. Due to the gravitational pull mainly because of the moon, the level of the water in the sea rises and falls. This can be used to harness the energy. Next, what we have is wave energy. The kinetic energy possessed by huge waves near the sea shores can be dropped in similar manner to generate electricity. Ocean thermal energy. The water at the surface of the sea or the ocean is heated up by the sun while water in the deeper sections is relatively cold. Because of this difference in the temperature can be used to generate what? Electricity. Next is geothermal energy. So inside the deeper hot regions of the earth crust, or usually we call that as hot spots, this can be used to convert the water into steam. The steam generated can be used to what? To run the turbine, which in turn can be used to generate the electricity. Next very important concept is nuclear energy. How nuclear energy is generated? In the process of nuclear fission. In the process of nuclear fission, where an heavy atom splits into two lighter atoms or nuclei when it is bombarded with low energy neutrons. What is nuclear fission? The nucleus of heavy atom on bombarding with neutrons splits into lighter nucleus. When this happens, a tremendous amount of energy is released, right? This energy is utilized to convert the water into steam by in turn in the generation of electricity. The fission of an atom of uranium produces 10 million times the energy produced by the combustion of an atom of carbon from coal. So you have many advantages of nuclear energy, but also the major disadvantages of nuclear energy is that nuclear power generation the major disadvantages of nuclear power generation is the storage and disposal of the nuclear waste, because the radiations which are produced by these uranium atoms are very harmful. And also there is a risk of accidental leakage of nuclear radiation, and also the high cost of installation of nuclear power plant, and also high risk of environmental contamination and limited availability of uranium makes large scale use of nuclear energy prohibitive. These are the disadvantages of using nuclear energy. You can expect it for 2 marks, whether advantage or disadvantage or generation of nuclear energy, how nuclear energy can be used to generate electricity. These are the important questions you can expect. So environmental consequences you can expect in case if it is asked for 1 mark. This you can read where a simple value based question will be asked. Dear students, today we have completed 5 units. Tomorrow we will be completing next 5 units, which are very important from the examination point of view. Do attend the live session tomorrow also.